What is an activity that keeps you away from your phone for hours? KOTPF said, driving. Daft Funky said, apparently there is a way to open a floating YouTube video over top of your game in PS5. Haven't tried it yet as it's a weird workaround. Could be great to follow a walkthrough. I'm playing TLOU2 right now and just have my phone opened with a guide on where all the collectables are. I did though play the game blind first and went back after to gather everything. Cowboy Blacksmith said, I used to play for about 4 or 5 hours a day in high school. Pre-COVID it wasn't uncommon for me to have a farmer's market gig or two or a bar show in a week and potentially play even longer. Haven't really played longer than about 6 hours at a time, but it's doable. Z3R0 said, I was playing like that during the late months of 2019, and I've had to quit guitar for over a year because I developed chronic tendonitis and joint pain because of overuse. I'm still doing physical therapy for it and have seen no improvement. Just trying to play for 5 minutes makes my finger joints swell up and turn red. Got tested for arthritis but don't have it. Doctors think it's caused by inflammation but anti-inflammatories aren't working. I still feel really sad because ever since I was little I wanted to be a musician. I'm 16. Cake Day said, awesome, so tip 1 is make sure you get the right disc. What you want is a neutral straight flying mid-range or putter. Depending on where you are and what stores you have will be what you have best access to, but a buzz should be available and that's your basic first disc. I can send a longer list if you DM me. Next is a quick scroll on YouTube and there's plenty of form videos for beginners. Technique is what makes the disc go far. Third tip, have fun. Your first round you'll shoot way over par and take like 100 shots to do the round. You're lucky. It means that you will improve more each time you play than the people that can go under par. It's a sport best enjoyed with others, so drag a couple of friends along or ask to join in with someone at the course. Il Monstro 12345 said, if you do work with your mind all day, doing work with your hands is a catharsis that is probably impossible to describe. It's not that you don't have to use your mind to work with your hands, it's just a completely different thing. You get a mental tiredness doing knowledge work that somehow actually gets cured by doing something that makes you physically tired. Source, I'm software engineer. I love doing renovations, working with horses, hiking, kayaking, biking, etc. I am Regina Phalange said, nothing worse than when you are hiking on a remote trail and some dipshit out of towner has the weekend blaring from their phone ahead of you on the trail. My very favorite thing about hiking is getting somewhere I can't see or hear man-made things, and a lot of times you can still hear the music even if you can't see the hikers. Las Ruas said, it might sound strange, but adult coloring. I discovered it when I was in psych hospital as I live with several mental illnesses and it was suggested to me by one of the mental health nurses as a way to get out of my thoughts. It works like a dream. I buy the books. They are usually really intricate designs that take concentration and I've built myself up a nice stock of the really good gel pens. A piece can take up to 3 hours to complete in one sitting. Sometimes I do a piece in part but usually one sitting. For those 3 hours my thoughts are not racing. I don't feel scared, lonely, bored or hopeless. It's a little escape and a great way to pass an evening when I would otherwise be restless and distressed. I credit it with playing a really big part in my recovery. Las Ruas said, I hated coloring as a kid. I use gel pens, not pencils. You get much better results. It's easier and looks much better. When I sit down to do a piece, I look at it for a while then choose my colors and what way I'm going to go with it. It's just pure mindfulness and it's a form that works for me but not for everybody. Some people prefer to practice mindfulness in different ways such as meditation, Lego building, making models, even playing video games. Whatever gets your mind focused and concentrating on just that one thing and nothing else, that's the goal. The truth is out there said, love this. When I was in psych we sometimes did drawing mostly for an hour a day. A few times there was clay and I made really nice animals and painted them the next day. It was the only therapeutic thing they offered. The rest of the day was empty and awful. No phones or any devices allowed and in very restricted visiting hours. We just existed in there. I still have my elephant, penguin and flower though. Las Ruas said, yes. When I was in psyche hospital a number of fellow patients were doing crochet for their mindfulness. I tried it but it wasn't for me, and that's when the nurse suggested the coloring instead. But so many of my fellow patients found the crochet to be excellent and, as you said, have something nice to show for it in the end. Victorious97 said, spending time with people I feel very comfortable with because I won't check my phone for messages from them because they're with me. B. I don't feel awkward and have to busy my hands or eyes with a screen. C. I care very much about how they feel, so I won't pull out my phone and distract myself from the conversation. Apart from that, usually, showering, sleeping, driving, swimming, that's it. B02D said, what do you mean away from your phone exactly? Because there's a lot of activities that people do while listening to music on their phones, like workout at the gym, biking, running, etc. Other people said game, study and read a book, but you can do that with your phone too. So which would be the bad thing about phones in this case? Browsing social networks? Texting? Burkett22 said, being home. I work a job that requires I be on all day, making phone calls and organizing crews, deliveries, trades, etc. When I get home, I put my phone on silent, I plug it in at my desk or bedside table, and there it sits until the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. the next morning. The only time I pick it up is if a friend or family member calls me, and only if I see the screen light up, because it's on silent. Fieldst said, if you don't count using my phone to play and sometimes skip music, it's walking. Whenever I feel myself getting a bit mentally unstable, I just throw myself out of the house with my headphones and a bag with a few things like food, water, a jacket, power banks and maybe a small speaker, and then I just tell myself I'm not allowed to get back in for at least 1.5 h. Usually I end up walking for 2-3 hours, thinking about a lot of things that were going through my head and generally getting some energy out. Almost always helps getting a good amount of sleep as well. The only thing is that it does take up about an entire evening, so I tend to do it once or twice a week now. Race Bryce said, I started doing this recently. I work 9-5. When I get home I do a quick check on emails and maybe a bit on Reddit, mostly for game book announcements. Then I lock it, set it down and only grab it if I need it. Pretty much the idea is once I am home it stops being a smartphone and turns into a home phones. Crank up the volume so I can hear it anywhere in my house and go about my night. It also helps that I haven't did Facebook in years and I have reduced my Reddit to few game subreddits, educational stuff and few fun ones like this in AMA. Supernoid said, working in yards, mowing, edging, tending to the pool, but mostly above all else is my kids' sports. My daughter is in competitive dance 6 days a week and also Girl Scouts. My son is in, at the same time, soccer, tackle football, taekwondo and Boy Scouts. My wife and I are busy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturdays. Only day off is Sunday, but that's the day I spend about 4 or 5 hours in the yards relaxing while I clean the house up. Then it's usually grocery shop, barbecue and get in the pool, rinse repeat. My kids are in amazing shape, like, amazing physical shape. They are learning leadership and life skills at a very young age and we are a very active family. My kids both play tons of video games and hang with neighborhood friends outside, riding bikes, basketball etc., like any other kid. They just do it when everything else is done. Easy peasy. Still though, very little time to be lazy and read my phone or. Wouldn't change anything if you paid me. More power to people who don't enjoy a very active busy lifestyle, but that just ain't for me. PMME Occult Stuff said, outdoor activities, paddleboarding, beach, camping, hiking, bike riding etc. When I'm out with anyone I don't use my phone whatsoever. Even at their home, I feel like it's rude to use your phone in company of someone because I feel like it's rude when I take the time to meet with someone and they'd rather use their phone than spend the time with me. I used to love taking photos, and when the phone thing became so popular I stopped because I wasn't bringing my camera around anymore, and it bothered me to where I was embarrassed if I used my phone to take photos. I've slowly been relearning to take a moment to take a few photos with my phone to capture the memories. It's been a long road but I'm reminding myself to do it. I still get embarrassed though for some reason. If it was an actual camera I wouldn't be, but I'm trying to get used to using a phone for that. I don't know if I sound like I'm 80 or something, I'm 33, I just hate the way phones have become glued to everyone. Neo1Piv014 said, paintball. I was going to say camping, but when I'm actually at my campsite, I'll sometimes listen to podcasts or music while I'm chopping wood or walking around. It's on private land, so I'm not one of those dicks with the boombox blasting at a public campground, and I love just laying back in a hammock, listening to some music, and breathing in some nice fresh air. Irish Fritter said, Dungeons and Dragons, my dude. A good game with a good attitude can run for hours. Now that's only once a week, so not that great, but still fun. Biking. Unlike driving, a split second of looking at your phone will always end in disaster. Also, you're more likely to bike where there is no phone service. Working in a soup kitchen will certainly keep you busy, and who knows, you might even enjoy it. Cinema Freak said, fishing. There's weak signal out on ocean and the boats I go out on don't have Wi-Fi, yet. So the only time the phone comes out is to take a pic of my catch or such. Movies, not just in the theater but home as well. We have a no talking, no texting, no kitchen breaks rule when we watch movies. We will pause for bathroom breaks but we try to avoid it as much as possible. Camping, we got to national parks where the only Wi-Fi is next to the general stores or restaurants. My fave is Kings Canyon and it's either a 5-20 minutes walk or a 15-minute drive to get across the river to access the Wi-Fi. Cycling, if you don't count podcasts or music while I ride. Socializing, having drinks or dinner with friends. In fact, we get so caught up in hanging out we often realize later we forgot to take a group pic. Phones only come out to share photos. Road trips, we usually don't even have music on, just talk about whatever.